Within the house in the countryside, Natase and her husband Seiichi sits on the couch in their living room. Their eyes are glued to the television. The live news shows what had just happened, then to what is happening now. Thank the heavens it's over. Yes. I hope our daughter survived. He holds her hands and stares at her. She's a tough one. Come on, let's go get her. Her eyes looks away and she becomes very saddened and disappointed. I'm afraid our time has come. What? The doorbell rings. It grabs their attention and they veer their eyes to the door. Both stand from the couch and walks over to the front door. Natase grabs the handle. Her heart pounds and her hand is slightly twitching. She takes in a deep breath and her stress lessens. She twists the handle and opens the door. They view who is at their home. Jonathan Zenoff, battle-torn, bloodied, cloth-burnt, and holding his axe hammer Hades, lifts his head up slightly, directing his eyes at the husband and wife. Wait, I know who you are. You should be arrested for what you did to those children. What if our daughter... She lives. His distraught voice cuts the man off. He can sense the mess of regret that he is feeling. You look terrible. Getting punched in the face and your insides sliced open can do that to a person. I plan on getting new clothing afterwards. Seiichi has some clothing that actually fits your size, if you don't mind. Thank you. 10:35 p.m. Both Natase and Seiichi sits on the couch once more. The latter repeatedly taps his foot on the floor. His finger twitches and his arms are crossed. His face shows his wife how angry and confused he is all at once. You know him? I know him and his brother. It is complicated. Sweetheart, he's a criminal. He shouldn't be in this house, let alone take a shower in our house. I know, but like I said, it is complicated, and we cannot call law enforcement. Why? Because we should work for him and become like him? No, because... All of our communication has been cut off before he knocked on the door. What? She is right. Both of them turns to where his voice is coming from. Zenoff walks into the living room wearing a button, dark green three-piece suit, a black trench coat, and a pair of dark gray gloves. A black fedora sits on his head, and Hades is being held in his right hand. You look like an American mob boss. I guess this will be fitting for others. Seiichi stands to his feet. He bravely approaches the Celtic Irish Prime Minister and stares him down eye to eye. All right, now that you're clean, get the hell out of our house. Not yet. He has to do one more thing. She comes up to her husband and wraps her arms around his right. She lifts her right arm up and points to the fireplace. I have left a note for our daughter if she decides to come here. Zenoff turns to it, but his eyes locks onto something else. And the urn? That is for us. For in that letter, she will have a duty to fulfill. Sadness overwhelms the Prime Minister. He turns his head and wipes his eyes, not letting the two see any tears. I cannot believe I am in this position. Natase, with care and hope, places her hands under his chin and turns his head back to her. Shh, it is all right. I forgive you for everything that you have done. I know that you have fears, but may I offer you one final guarantee? But if I tell you, you must keep this promise for both of us. Of course. Okay, on 3. 1, 2, 3. The sound of heavy concrete moves. A group of JSDF officers forcefully lifts and throws it to the side. Moriko Osada blocks the light shining on her head. A figure, Mike Honori, blocks the light with her body. She reaches her hand in. Come on, I got you. The girl grabs her arm and the judgment officer pulls her out. Osada becomes blinded by the intense light. But the light dims down and she looks at her surroundings. What was once their home is now reduced to something that one would see in an old World War II photo of a devastated city in Europe or Japan itself. The young girl cannot believe what she is seeing. nor can the others who are being pulled out of the rubble. Komoi Tsukiyomi brings her back to reality when she places her hand on her back. Listen, I know it's horrible, but you've got to listen to me. These men are going to lead you to a safe place, so please follow them. She points to a group of JSDF and British soldiers waiting for her. The traumatized Hosada slowly stands to her feet. She steadily climbs down the pile, with the soldiers holding their arms out just in case she trips. As she and the other 6 survivors make it to the bottom, Kono returns to the high school teacher. I'm going to go and keep searching for more. Are you certain that there's more? That is, if I see them. The chief of the 177 branch crawls down the pile, assisted by the JSDF soldiers. Let's go look over here. They head down the street. Running down it, she looks to the sides. Many teenagers and adults are shaken and shocked at what had happened the night before. Her eyes looks up ahead. Her clairvoyance ability spots something through the destroyed 2-story building. 1, 2, 3, 4. She continues to count and comes to a number. Hey, I spot 8 inside there! They stop, and the officers, Takara Miyashita and Marvin Frant, move aside wood and push concrete out of the way. The front entrance clears the way, and the men look inside. Come on, you're safe. The group of middle schoolers are scared, but they muster the courage to come out. Konori looks to the left. Her vision sees through the building behind them. Her eyes widens, and she looks to the officer. I'm going to go over there. The chief runs off and cuts the corner. Even though she is tired and exhausted from searching and rescuing civilians from above and below, she continues on despite it all. A body of a student, sliced in half and its insides all over, lies on the side of the road. She takes in a deep breath, shakes her head, and continues on. 2 people comes into her view coming around the corner. Hey, are you okay? Yeah. Look, head to where I came from and you'll find some soldiers that'll help you. Okay, but if you're going where we came from, don't freak out, okay? The couple runs past her as Konori herself becomes confused. What the hell does that mean? She looks back ahead and continues on. Coming around the corner, Mai suddenly stops in her tracks. Whoa! Okay, now I know why they would say that. In front of her, a quarter of a mile away, are the JSDF's 2nd Division and what remains of the ACDF's 1st Battalion. Some soldiers are actively searching for survivors, but most stand side by side with Type 90s behind them. But she is not focusing on them. Behind the tanks is Godzilla himself. Very immobile, he is fully awake. Yet, despite the fact that a kaiju is not dead, they still continue to search. I guess I can go somewhere else. Hey, you! Come here! She follows where the voice is coming from. She spots the private waving at her, getting her attention. Or maybe not. She rushes to the man near a pile of rubble. She and the others can feel the low breathing of Godzilla, even at the distance that she is at. God, no pun intended, but how can you work like this? She stops and lifts a massive piece of wood. What do you mean? You know, with him being awake? Oh, that! Well, you shouldn't worry about him. He turns out to be passive when there isn't another kaiju around. How long has he been awake? Around 1 hour, from what I was told. How have I not heard him until now? Well, like I said, you shouldn't worry about him. Though, we do have the 2nd and 1st around. No one's getting close to him. Mai looks at the lying kaiju, seeing his eyes blink as he lightly bellows once again. It sends a shiver down her spine. She shakes her head and focuses back on helping the soldier. The sound of marching feet grabs the attention of civilians on the other side of Godzilla. Normally, it will be a sound of a triumphant army, but it is the sound of the defeated parts of an army. 25 Celtic soldiers marches down the road away from the beast, guided by the soldiers of the 1st Battalion. To those who have been rescued, it is a clear sign that no army is invincible. One young teenager, Kentaseta, feels overwhelming rage. He picks up a pebble. He reels his arm back, but his friend, Sorakanda, grabs his arm. Dude, don't. Just look at them. Are you kidding me? Just look at what they did to our home! I know, but there isn't much that they can do anymore. The marching feet stops, grabbing the boys and the ACDF soldiers' attention. The captured Celtics have stopped moving. Hey, keep moving! The Celts spreads their arms out to the sides. Sharp objects, pipes, and broken glass flies into their hands. Instantly, the soldiers aims their Howard Type 89 rifles. All of them shout at them to put down the objects. They hold them up high. They turn their weapons around. Suddenly, without a second thought or worry, they blood each other on the head and stab themselves through the neck or head or through the heart. What the hell? It grabs the attention of Godzilla, which turned his eye to the mass suicide of the Celtics. As they fall over and die, the corporal runs to one of them. He grabs onto the collar of a dying man. Why would you do that?
Protocol dictates that thou shalt give their lives, then become slaves to the conqueror with a rotten belief. We owe our lives to Lord Bakken. And one day, he will return. And you will be there with the demon. Hail the Lord Bakken.
The man is no more, and his colleagues falls over dead. The corporal lets go of him and looks at his soldiers. The low growl of Godzilla gets them to look at him. He has heard everything that the dying man has said, and already he fears that he will deal with it again. He veers his eye away, puffing blue smoke from his nostrils. Corporal Gold turns to his men, furious. Tell the others to not let any more prisoners die on their own! 8 o'clock a.m. The eyes of Misaka and Kamijo opens. They both spot the cloud of black smoke billowing into the blue morning sky. But that is not the only thing that they see. The head of the British Prime Minister, Euclides, blocks the view as his eyes locks into the two teenagers. Ah, I see that you are awake. Euclides? I thought you went back to England. If that were the case, you two would have complained that I did. Actually, what are we laying on? The man does not answer her question. Instead, the realization comes to them. They are still lying on their backs, but their heads are resting on his lap. Oh. They lift themselves up. Rubbing her head, Mikoto looks to the side. She and Toma become shocked. What lies before them is what remains of Academy City, a place that they consider as their home for part of their lives. A city with beauty and charm has been replaced with horror and tragedy. Their eyes veers to the shrinking 3-rolled make-believe dorsal fins sitting in the middle. Misaka and Kamijo scoots next to Euclides' left and right respectively and sits cross-legged. Misaka's eyes are still fixated on the kaiju. So, when will Godzilla go back to his home dimension? A portal will open for him in about an hour or less, though it must be in the same time and the same day in his home. Alright then. Yet, despite that fact, their minds drifts back to the many times where catastrophe could have been prevented, but was often the opposite, resulting in what they considered a wonderful and beautiful city to now a war-torn and devastated city. Kamijo brushes his hair back. Damn it. I can't believe that I let all of this happen. If only I didn't... I cannot say that you had done the right thing or not, but the end result was unpredictable. I believe that all of us bear the responsibility. I guess you're right. This feels odd. Usually, Kamijo and I would be the ones saving everyone. But a kaiju no less saved us all. That is odd. That is partially correct. You two had contributed in its victory. And I do thank you, Madam Misaka, for helping Raygon achieve his first evolution. Though I would have never imagined such brutality from him, but contributed nonetheless. Her mind drifts back to when she gave electricity to him and the decision that she made when doing so. And it was not just you, these individuals had helped as well. Kuroko Shirai and Kazari Ueharu comes up from behind Misaka and hugs her out of relief. Elizabeth Montgomery, Index, and Ruiko Sutton comes up and hugs Kamijo. Jeez, guys, we're not dead. Yeah, we're fine, that's all. Well, that's what happens when you made us worry about you. The meowing of a cat gets Toma's attention. Himigami sits next to the boy as Sphinx jumps onto his lap and Ultimus appears on his shoulder. Aw, good to see you too. Misaka turns her head to the left. She sees the smiling Kongo, Awatsuki, and Wanai waving at her. Oh, thank goodness you're safe. It wasn't easy, but we managed. The friend stops hugging the two teens. Hey, did you forget about us, Kami? The blonde, spiky-haired boy puts his elbow on Toma's head. He and Aogami place their hands on his shoulders. Oh my god, where the f were you two? As soon as we heard Godzilla was coming, we got out of the city in time. Though, where did you go, Tsujimikado? I had to get my cousin out, and she's okay with her parents. Phew, that's good. Wait, we? A fist hits its right shoulder. Fukiose sits on her knees. Yes, that man beside you got all of us out. We almost got killed, but we made it. Oh, dude, she was kicking ass, while you cowered like a Hey! Fukiose's frown turns into a genuine smile. But I'm glad that you're alive, Kamajo. Sugita stands behind the boy and looks down at him with a smile. I gotta say, man, that was a lot more guts than before. Nice going. The two fist bumps. A back lays onto Misaka's back. A familiar snicker gives her an indication on who it is. For a second there, I thought I lost my favorite plaything. Nice to see that you're alive, Misaki. And little Miss Meltdowner and her group over there are feeling the same thing. Misaka turns around and sees Item. The leader, the cross-armed Mugino, sticks up her middle finger as Hamazura, Takitsubo, and Kinohanta sit down beside Kongo. Uh-huh. Her eyes catches something else. Kanzaki, Orwell, Marshall, Cromwell, and Magnus stands behind Euclides, nodding to both Kamajo and Misaka. Tatamiya, Itsuwa, Lesser, Sasha, and Ignace joins them. Everyone, though moderately or minorly injured, are joyful that they managed to survive. Relief for all is overwhelming. The light bellow of Godzilla III gets their attention, taking their smiles away. They see the beast still lying on his stomach and breathing. Reality is sinking in. The destruction of Academy City is something that no one can really smile about. Even the city's greatest enemies, they can feel sympathy for those who are caught in the massive battle. All too often do those have witnessed death, but not on the scale of what they have seen. All at once, the 30 individuals feel shame and grief above all else. Even if we contributed a win, it feels empty. As I said last night, it was a hollow victory. A thought comes into Misaka's mind. Hey, Euclides, you said that Godzilla was finishing what his grandfather left off, right? Well, yes, and he has done just that. She lifts her right hand and stares at her palm. But I don't understand. We all saw what he really is. Why would he go out of his way to save us if he hates us? Is there a reason why? Actually, yeah. What was his life like before he came into our world? A pair of good, interesting questions that even the others are curious of. Francis closes his eyes and sighs before reopening them. Well, the answer is simple, though the actual reason is complex. Why do you say that? Would you believe me if I told you that Rhaegon III was born and raised by his father and by humans? A baffling question that leaves everyone confused. In great detail, with none left out, Euclides tells the 29 individuals of both magic and science the true origin story of Godzilla, from his birth through his time with humans and his father, from the tragic end of his home to his first taste in battle and victory, from near death to the death of his father and a burden that has been laid upon him as a 20-year-old adult. Every word that was said by the British Prime Minister was like reading a very emotional story, beginning with intrigue, slight humor and mystery in the middle, but ending with sadness but hope for the future, for better or for worse. Damn, all of that in the span of 2 years? Poor thing. I can't imagine losing a father like that, especially in front of him. Yeah, I guess it's kind of sad. Believe me when I say that Rhaegon does not want sympathy over what happened to him. He claims that he had moved on, but I am not sure of it. Is that why he hates us? Not quite. Huh? While it is true that he does not hold humans in the highest regard, there are two humans that he would outright refuse to hate. Those two individuals that I mentioned. As a result, he had developed one thing that sums up his feelings towards the human race, Mukan or otherwise. What would that be? Tolerance. His response shocks everyone. Through the telekinetic empress and her future husband, Raygon realized that Earth relies on human survival and existence. Though he does not outright help us, he has accepted that we are the way in which our world spins. It is only when he is provoked is when he decides to act. His head turns and locks eyes with Misaka. His mindset did not change the moment he stepped into this dimension. That is, until he met you. I mean, it's not like I wanted to kill him out of spite. I had a good reason. I understand that, and so does Raygon. What? I told him everything. The reason you attacked him, all of it. Okay, what did he say then? The man turns his head back forward. He said that he understood the pain of your loss. He was not aware that you were there in Okinawa when he made landfall. Your revenge is justified, but unjustified. You seized your opportunity the first time, but on the second and third times, he was warning you not to attack him. Obviously, you had ignored him. Were it not for Madame Shirai, you would be dead right now. She looks down from him and sighs. But he did want me to give you a message directly to you. Really? In his own words, because of your act of aiding me, I am willing to let both of our grievances pass after this. However, Mikoto Misaka, attempt such an uncaring action again, and I will not give you a warning when I kill you. Right. Noted. A light growl is heard by the group. His sound is much more calmer than before, giving off a relaxing feeling from him. You know, it's kind of nice not hearing him sound angry for a change. When there is no threat, this is how he usually is. You know what? I can relate. Actually, we can all relate to that. A sentiment that everyone agrees on. And still, it's hard to believe that this Sagusa person went through almost the same thing with his father. I guess we're kind of alike. Yes, however, you must remember that when she saw King Raygon III, her mind slowly changed over time. It might happen to you as well. I'll keep that in mind. Also, you said that last night. That whole king thing? What's that about, huh? The king of the monsters. Euclid's quick and simple answer confuses both Kamijo and Misaka, but they are starting to understand why that is, especially after what they had seen last night. Both Raygon I and Raygon II were also kings in their lifetimes, but ironically, it only took controlling all of the Earth's monsters to achieve such a title. That sounds like a hassle. It is, especially when the world was on the brink of death. Almost instantly, the Esper's and Sorceress looks to the man with utter confusion. Excuse me, what do you mean by that? There is an event in Raygon's home dimension that I mentioned a few times. And let me say, if you thought this is horrible, what the humans and his father went through was even worse. What could be worse than this? The 1992 War of the Titans. The deadliest 5 days in world history. And it had everything to do with Ghidorah. Ghidorah? A giant, three-headed golden space dragon responsible for killing over 197 million humans. Everyone, all at once, becomes shocked at the horrifying revelation. A monster from space? That has to be a joke. It is no joke. It killed that many? Indeed it did. No, you gotta be lying. It is no lie. Like I said before, believe in what you want to believe, but you know it will be untrue in the end. His words reaffirms what he said, of which everyone else is starting to learn very fast. Well, I never imagined that a kaiju, let alone an alien kaiju, would be capable of doing that much damage. Everyone turns around and looks behind them. Accelerator, holding on to Last Order's hand and Yumikawa beside him on his left, walks up to the British Prime Minister. How long have you been standing there? Long enough to hear that story. And still, glad this wasn't worse than that. Well, that is not saying much, is it? Anyhow, with all of that out of the way, there is something I want to tell you all. Euclides picks himself up and stands on his feet. He walks away from Kamijo and Misaka, then walks past the chairman and childlike clone. All of the others, including the teens, stands to their feet and looks at the man. He stops in his tracks. He takes in a deep breath, then turns around. All eyes are locked onto him. Let me start off by saying this first, because this is very warranted. I would like to thank each and every single one of you. Your assistance throughout the battle was greatly earned and appreciated. And throughout, you have shown that your fortitude and bravery is beyond question, uncanny, and unmatched. Never in my life, on the field of human conflict, have I seen so much owed by so many to so few. Inspiring words from the British Prime Minister, words that charmed the inner feelings of all. But suddenly, Euclides' face changes from proudness to overwhelming grief. Although, I do wish that the many would have lived to see it. The words brings down the mood dramatically. Toma takes one step forward. How many survived? Euclides looks away. Francis? How many survived? The feeling of concern spreads to the others as well. As of this moment, including all of you, 67,925. Everyone feels as though time had suddenly frozen. The Espers express their sadness, sympathy, and distraught silence, while the sorcerers can only feel anger and sympathy. The first 1.5 million died in the initial bombing raid. Some were safe far on the ground, but most decided to fight back. Others did not get a chance to fight back, even succumbing to the worst deaths imaginable. The some that did survive witnessed or experienced the most disgusting atrocities that even Xenov himself did not approve of. I am very sorry to all of you. I know that deep down inside of you is a burning desire for revenge, and I can understand that. But now is not the time for such revenge. Well, yeah, what's stopping me from heading to Ireland? The Second Cold War and the Union of Sovereign Celtic Republics. The what? Think of it like the Soviet Union, only less communism and more Celticism and paganism. Oh, God. Wait, when you say Celtic republics, doesn't it mean that Scotland has... They have not come to that decision yet, but we are expecting it tomorrow. I think it would be wise to evacuate from Scotland. Speaking of evacuation, Accelerator, Madam Yumikawa, you may speak. All eyes turns to the two. I am authorizing a complete evacuation from Academy City. Oh, that's it? I mean, yeah, okay. Once the city is rebuilt, we can come back, right? He shakes his head, confusing all except for Francis and Yumikawa. It's a lot more complicated than that. Why? What's going on? I thought it was over. That was not the end, nor the beginning of the end. But it was and is the end of the beginning. The Celtic Union is threatening NATO and has enacted Protocol 144. Those responsible for the death of Mazora will be searched and murdered with no hesitation. A horrible discovery that each and every one of them cannot believe. Montgomery, you are no longer a target of the Celtics. However, you have been replaced by another primary target. By who? Francis does not answer her question. He lifts his right arm and points to someone. His eyes locks into the third level 5. Everyone directs their eyes onto her, becoming stunned at this terrible news. What did I do? He rests his arm down. Your decision to give Rhaegon III your electric power and the fact that you were the first to intervene before Kamijo was killed had a reason to do with it. Well, I wasn't going to let him die. I know that, but remember what I told you before you went into battle. Everything and everyone will be taken away from Kamijo. And I am afraid it is going to apply to you now. Frustration grows within Mikoto. She looks down and clenches her hand. Like I said, I know that you have a desire for revenge, but Xenoff and I are ranked Class S Crusaders in our home dimension, meaning we are much stronger than any level 5, we surpassed level 6, and we are beyond the power of a saint. And besides, you are far from ready to face him one-on-one, nor are you insane enough to face the entire Celtic army. He shifts his eyes to Accelerator when he makes that comment, indicating that he is directly talking to both of them. However, there is something far worse that is going to happen. They all focus back on the British Prime Minister. It is something that Kaori is aware of, and in days' time, it will affect this dimension and Raygon's as well. What is it? The Great Apocalypse. An audible gasp fills the air.
No! I thought it was a myth!
It is no myth. Once the Dragons of East and West concludes, it will be a series of events that will be the cause of it. Everyone turns their attention to the middle schooler who exits from her trance and places her hand on her head.
What the hell is happening to me?
So it is true. She is the one. And the last hope. Sensei, what should we do? I am afraid there is nothing we could do.
No, there has to be something that we can do.
Kanzaki, I told you and I am telling the rest of you. Once it is set in motion, there is no other way to stop it. All we can do is prepare for it. A damning yet terrifying reality that all are now facing at this very moment. An event of humongous proportions is about to begin. Everyone feels rage, but they calm down and accept this fate of which it is to come. Also, Kamijo, while you and Misaka were asleep, Montgomery had approached me about something. What is it? She had requested that she complete her training with me. She had realized that her potential is there, and she is willing to fulfill it. And that's great. I'll come with... You can't. What? She is right. You will not be coming along with us. You are still targeted by the Celtic Union. In fact, you and Misaka are the main priorities, and I am not risking my country to be invaded. So, as British Prime Minister, you are not allowed to come with us back to England. Fleeting memories of the times that the two had spent throughout the 6 months of living with each other flows through Kamijo's mind. Sadness overwhelms him. He lowers his head and lightly nods. But fear not. Eurycles unsheathed his broadsword Gaia. I will take care of her, and I promise you that you will see her again. The time and place, I do not know, but it is a guarantee. So do not see this as a goodbye forever, but more of a, see you later. He turns around and swings his sword downwards, creating a portal. An image of the House of Commons materializes. Sorcerers, saints, let us move. To all of you espers, good luck. All of the sorcerers walks up and steps through the portal one after the other. Index, Elizabeth, with Sphinx and Othinus on her shoulders, takes a step forward towards it, but she stops. She turns around and looks at both Kamijo and Misaka. Both are saddened to see her go without the former. She approaches the boy and embraces him. Mikoto joins in, and the three embraces. Stay safe, Monty. The nun nods her head. With tears in her eyes, she turns to Mikoto and places her hand on her shoulder. Take good care of him. The girl nods her head. The three stops hugging each other. Montgomery turns and walks towards Eurycles, who is patiently waiting for her. Let us go. He turns and enters the portal. She steps forward, putting her foot into it. She turns back to the group of espers, then to the two teenagers. With tears flowing down her cheeks, she smiles and closes her eyes. She steps through and the portal finally closes. 8:30 a.m. Godzilla hears chatter of humans 60 yards away from him. He turns his left eye. In the distance, the parents of the surviving children reunites with them, hugging and tearing up, fearing that their loved ones are gone. He lightly sighs, understanding the feeling all too well. Relief is overwhelming for all. Suzume Mugino hugs her granddaughter.
Ah, jeez, Grandma, you don't have to do that.
I was so worried for you. What if you were killed? She tries very hard to get her to let go. Hamazura and Takitsubo giggle, while Kinohata remains expressionless. Oh, these must be your friends. Thank you for taking care of my little Shizuri. Shut up! A group of 4 men in tuxedos bows their heads to Shokuho, being held up by Hokage and Kobayashi. We're glad you're safe, Lady Misaki. Shokuho looks to her injured leg. Well, I wouldn't say fully safe. Don't worry, we'll treat it once we return home. An idea comes to her. Do you still have those extra bedrooms in place? Yes, they are still vacant. She looks to her clique around her. You wouldn't mind if you lived with me, right? The girls bow their heads, accepting her offer. A man in a yukata walks up to Kongo, and she hugs him. Glad you're safe, baby girl. Dad, I'm not a baby anymore. Wanai and Awatsuki bows their heads to their friend's father. It's nice to meet you, sir. Likewise. Say, are your parents here? Mine are in Canada, and mine are on a trip in China. Oh dear. Kongo releases herself from her father and looks at him in the eyes. They can stay with us until their parents come back. His eyebrows lifts, hearing her proposal. Well, I don't know, but I guess I can make room for them. The girls' faces lights up with joy. On top of a 30-meter building, Accelerator looks down at the crowd below. A brush of wind blows on his hair, and he lets out a light sigh. Last Order holds on to his right hand. Yumikawa stands beside him, and 2 Misaka sisters stands behind him. Do you think we'll make it? Asks Misaka. I don't know, but I'll make sure that you're safe. Well, that's very sweet of you, but where are your parents? Can't remember the last time I spoke to them. I bet they won't let me back into their lives as much. I'm certain they will. Back on the ground, Shirai, Ueharu, and Satin hugs both Kamijo and Misaka, trying their best not to tear up. We'll miss you too. Don't forget about us. We won't. The 5 stops hugging, but Kuroko places her hand on Toma's shoulder. Kamijo, take care of her. With no second thought, the boy nods his head. She and the girl steps back. Toma and Mikoto mounts on the intact Gargoyle Cruiser motorcycle. After turning on the engine, the vehicle drives off into the crowd. Satin looks down. Ueharu turns to her. I haven't seen my parents yet. Maybe they haven't shown up yet. Let's give it some time. She lightly nods her head, and the two turns to Shirai. But as they do, she is not there anymore. What the? Where did she go? The 13-year-old herself walks through the crowd of reuniting families with her head down. Memories of all of what she had done for Misaka flows through her mind and the many attempts that came with it. A man in a business suit stops her in her tracks. She lifts up her head, seeing the man that she had seen yesterday. She takes in a deep breath. So, what agency are you from? Tetsuo Yoshikawa digs into his pocket and pulls out a card. Shirai's eyes shifts to it and reads what is on it. It only shows the man's name and the name of the organization, PSIA, the Public Security Intelligence Agency. She looks up from the card back to him. Will it be dangerous? The better question is, do you want your friends and family safe? Shirai does not respond. So, your answer? I'll do it. The man smirks. He puts the card back into his pocket and puts his hands behind his back. Good. Go home to your family business in Shinjuku. I heard that they got it damaged. How do we know everything? When the time comes, we'll come and get you. And remember, Yoshikawa turns around. You're not the only one that I approached to do this, so you won't be alone. With this nonchalant attitude, he walks away. He stops and looks to his right. His sister, Kikyo Yoshikawa, has been waiting for him. Are you sure about this? She's just a kid, says the same sister who was a part of level 6 shift. All right, let's just go. The gargoyle slowly drives down the road. Kamijo and Misaka looks to their sides. They see parents relieved, crying from joy to see their child or children alive and well, but most of the time, they also see parents, grandparents, and others grieving over what they have been told. It is too much for even the two to bear. Toma? Makoto? The bike stops in its tracks. They hear familiar voices. Dad? Mama? They look ahead. Their eyes widens. Toya and Shina Kamijo, their niece Otihime Tatsugami, and Mizuzu and Tabigaki Misaka stand together, stunned to see their child alive. Toma and Makoto mounts off of the bike and runs to them. They both hug their family. Oh, thank heavens you two are safe. We never lost faith in you. We knew that you two would make it. We couldn't bear losing our only daughter. It would be too much. Both families stops hugging each other and looks at the two teens. How did you two survive? Well, it's hard to explain, really. What do you mean? Well, she and Toma turns around. We had something that was protecting us. Both parents looks to where they are looking at. Godzilla's eye is still looking down at the families reuniting. He notices the two looking directly at him. He gives out a light sigh and looks away. Godzilla was protecting you? But he was the one that... The teens turns back to them. It's a bit complicated, but I learned that he was way out of my league, and it was best that I didn't get in his way in the first place. The two parents are baffled, but they quickly understand what she is saying. Well, we're glad to hear it. Listen, we have a target on our backs right now. Who would do something like that? A guy named Zenov. Wait, the Irish Prime Minister? Oh, hell. Do you have a place where we can lie low for a while? They do not want to say what is going to happen in the next few days, out of fear that it will scare them. We did buy a house in Osaka, perfect for 4 people. Toma and Makoto smiles. That's perfectly fine. Though we might need to hire some protection for the two of you. An idea comes to Mizuzu. I know a guy. Maybe he might help out. Tamegaki immediately knows what his wife is thinking about. He turns and looks at her. Wait, I thought you said when Makoto was born you wouldn't go back to them. I did. I'm just going to ask for protection. For them. Toma and Makoto does not reject her idea. Alright. The crackling of thunder stops everyone and everything. It grabs their and Godzilla's attention. 200 yards away, the air splits open 130 meters high. A moving image of an ocean appears. Godzilla himself lifts up his head. The humans, seeing him move, become scared and steps back a few. A scent exits from the portal and enters the air. The kaiju smells it, then his dorsal fins flashes blue. The blue highlights on the ends of the hairs of Makoto, Toma, and Shirai flashes as well. Raygun recognizes the scent. It is the scent of his home dimension. He pushes himself up, coming to his 2 feet. It frightens the humans more, unknowing of what he will do next. He does not pay attention to them. He takes in a deep breath, then he walks forward towards the massive portal. All of the humans, frightened but calmed down, watches as the kaiju makes his way towards the massive portal. A feeling comes in from all who have survived the battle, of which is the main thing that they all know. They have survived. However, it is far from over, especially when they know that they are going to be the targets. Makoto's left hand holds onto Toma's right. The boy looks to her, slightly blushed, but nods his head. He holds her hand tightly. They focus back onto Godzilla, which has stopped in front of the portal. He sniffs in again, and his fins flashes once more. He turns his head to his left. His eye locks into the 2 teenagers, of whom looks back. He lightly bellows. He turns back. He steps forward, entering through the portal. The last thing that the humans see is his tail entering. Collectively, they breathe a sigh of relief. Misaka, no matter what happens, I promise that I'll stay by your side to the very end. The young girl smiles. Her head lies on his arm. Thank you, Toma. They tightly hold their hands as they continue to stare at the portal. Godzilla travels through the portal as if he is swimming. An opening appears. The moving image that he saw reappears once again. The time and date is 8:05 a.m. on Thursday, January 7th, 2010, in dimension X7A-U4Y. Godzilla exits the portal and immediately dives into the waters of the South Pacific Ocean. He resurfaces and swims away like a crocodile. Then he slowly descends beneath the waves as the portal behind him closes. Going deeper underwater, he turns to the northwest on his way towards his Japan. His first mission is complete, but there are more to come, and he will be ready for it. Back in the other dimension at 2:00 p.m., Francis Euclides stands in front of the MPs of the House of Commons. With the cameras on him, and with Montgomery, not in her robes, in attendance in the audience, the British Prime Minister gives a speech on the events that just happened the previous night. When I met those individuals, Mr. Speaker, I regrettably had to inform them that they are among the over 67,000 that survived the battle. Their home is destroyed, and their hearts are broken in many ways that even the city's enemies can sympathize with. Of course, those enemies are also suffering. Inside of a large apartment complex, the sorcerers and saints watches the man live. I know that their loved ones had volunteered to fight for those innocent children's lives. While they have fought valiantly, I am afraid it was not enough to save most of them. In Japan, the many survivors of Academy City are riding backseat in their parents' cars or limos for those who are living in luxury, and they listen to the British Prime Minister on the radio. Most do not know what he is saying, but they are understanding what is happening. And I must inform you, members of Parliament, our partners in NATO, and everyone around the world, that Academy City is no longer the world power that we once knew. That region is now under annexation of Japan itself and is now a district to the Japanese capital. The Japanese Prime Minister promised that the city will be rebuilt, but he also said that the survivors cannot return and live in the region. It will be reserved as a memorial for those who have perished during the battle. Sir, the people of Japan, as well as the world, are in a state of mourning. But let us not forget what I have just said 2 days ago. But let us not forget what I had said 2 days ago. I had informed the House that wherever the Celtics would be, we would be there. I had made that promise, but not the promise of keeping those safe. That I will take responsibility for. However, as Academy City ceases to be a world power, the newly and regrettably recognized Union of Sovereign Celtic Republics is now the new world power. I know that there are those who are listening in on the radio and or watching on the television. Many of them are the children and teenagers of Academy City. I know that you have every right for revenge. However, with the Second Cold War in progress, now is not the time for such revenge. You must rest. However, I promise you that when the time comes, you will be ready to face the tyrants of the Celtic Union and her unknown allies. If we triumph, then we will be alive for the next generation. But if we fail, then we will be in a new age where darkness, under the specter of catastrophe and death, will be brought upon the world, as well as the kaiju that aided you in the battle. But I will say this, even when we succumb to the whims of darkness and death, even the master of such darkness will admire the bravery of those fighting for their freedom of religion, want, and from fear. And if we survive, then our future generations will know of this event when you tell them this. Even when we were up against impossible odds, this was our finest hour. Walking on the sidewalk with her husband Kazuma, Miki Sagusa, in their AMF suit uniforms, stops in her tracks. She turns and looks off into the distance. Hey, what's up? No way. It can't be.
Well, I'm very sorry to hear what happened to you, Mr. Zenoff.
I have recovered from her death, and my daughter is in safe hands. Are you sure it is a good idea to give her to your enemy? It is a promise from the Oracle, and I will not go back on it. I understand. So, what is your story, Empress Kautama Ozawa? It's Kautama Khan, and my story dates back to my father, and from what he told me. Tetsuo Yoshikawa sits in his chair on the phone near his desk in his office at 8 o'clock p.m. Yes, sir. She has agreed. Now, I didn't say that. I only said that she could be our volunteer. That is, until she turns 18. He leans forward and picks up a folder from the filing cabinet. His eyes locks into the words volunteers written in permanent marker. What about the others? Look, I know these kids are too young and most of them have a shady reputation, but I'm telling you that they are the best and they can be very reliable. Even the ones from the other side. That's right. Oh, I'm sure that they'll agree to come along, but not join us. He opens the folder on the desk and opens it. Yes, sir. Goodbye. He hangs up the phone, places it beside him, and looks down on the files spread out on the desk. The first is the detailed description of Kuroko Shirai and her records. Next is the profile of Shizuri Mugino and Item. Beside it are the profiles of Motoharu Tsuchimikado and Idzali, the latter being a former member of group. Next to it are the files of Takeyuki and Mitsuko Kango and the Kango aviation industry with their new Mark II project. Then there is an extended profile of a group known as Scavenger with its members' names listed. Itsuki Yakumaru, Naruha Sakuragi, Torumaru Saike, and the leader Rita Izumi, with a woman named Chiyo Furukawa with the occupation Scavenger Liaison. And the last file that sits on the desk is the level 4 Awaki Musujime.